Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. This essay is called Career Advice for Postdocs. I'll be giving a talk to postdocs soon and have written this draft script, which I'm going to present to you. I'm trying to act as though I was actually giving it. In reality, I'm going to extemp, but this helps to crystallize my thoughts on what I'm going to say. And I thought you might benefit from seeing me do it. Your parents, your grandparents, and yes, you are justifiably proud for having landed a postdoc at such a prestigious institution. Yet you know all too well that you don't have it easy. It's not easy to go from a postdoc with pay so low you still have to eat ramen to something that pays a middle-class wage. And the stress of working around some very smart people makes it easy to develop a case of the imposter syndrome. I'm not smart enough to be here. Also stressful is the dilemma. Basic research is what you've trained for and likely aspire to. Yet, in basic research, progress toward a meaningful goal is slow, as are promotions and pay. Postdocs can understandably be tempted by dollar signs and by quicker practical outcomes. It's hard for me to say what I would actually do if I was starting out. It's been so long since I was young. But I believe I would choose to eat said ramen and have a career in basic research rather than be more applied, because it's unpopular, yet may hold greater potential for eventual societal benefit than does a lot of the applied research. I think I'd be especially motivated to study the biological basis of higher order cognition and of altruism, from gene to protein to cell to circuit. Yeah, perhaps after years at that big hairy goal, I would crave something more likely to yield quick progress, but I'm guessing that I would stay in basic research, even if I ended up accomplishing no more than to close some blind alleys so other researchers could more readily move forward. At this point in my talk, I'm going to ask audience volunteers to tell me about a career-related problem they're facing, and I'll ask them some questions and then try to offer a suggestion or two. Anyway, here are a few more granular, less lofty thoughts. Foundational to our being able to do a good job, whatever our career, and in relationships for that matter, is getting enough sleep. I work hard, probably as hard as most of you, but I do make my sleep ritual inviolate. Around midnight, I stop doing what I'm doing, get into bed in my quiet, cool bedroom, put on a mixtape of what you believe lullabies, the same mixtape every night, read something mindless like a gardening catalog, and when my eyes get heavy, I think something like, Martin, you worked hard, now you deserve to sleep. When I was a grad student, I was afraid I wasn't smart enough to be in a PhD program at Berkeley, and so I didn't ask a lot of questions of professors or even of my fellow students. But if I were to do it again, I think I would take the risk and ask more questions. Not just to get those questions answered, but to have developed closer relationships with professors and students. Showing some weakness, not necessarily basket case weakness, makes you not threatening, and so encourages people to relax around you and maybe even share some of their issues. And good relationships are crucial to your career. There is, alas, an oversupply of PhDs, and often the person who gets the good job or the grant is someone that the decision maker likes. Hey, it would be fun to have her in my lab. Something else that's crucial to an academic career is the ability to give a talk that doesn't put people to sleep. Presenters too often read or near-read their talk, which can make it darn hard to keep paying attention. Raise your hand if you've experienced that. So I suggest that you reduce your talk to bullet points and extemp. I will be doing that, by the way, with this talk. Better ums and ahs and retracements that feel real than putting people to sleep. Even better, bring a light touch to your talk, a conversational tone, a bit of humor, and or varying your volume, your pitch, your pace, like a musician does. That can make the difference between you being perceived as just another smart researcher or someone special. Relatedly, while academic culture breeds seriousness, it helps both your career and your mental health to leave enough time for fun. Yeah, fun. But do fun your way. Maybe it's every so often to just ask a fellow postdoc out for coffee. Or if you like parties, invite your fellow postdocs to a party at your place or in a room on campus. Everything I have said to you today has been custom to you. I never give the same talk twice. But I want to end the way I end every talk, and it's not because I promised my father I would, although I did. It's because this story contains a particularly valuable lesson for us all, including me. The year was 1939. The town was Sierpes, Poland. My father was a young man living with his family. One day there was a knock at the door, and it was two Nazis in black boots. Unlike in the movies, they didn't yell. One was silent, and the other whispered, "You will be out of your house with only what you can carry on your back by noon tomorrow, or else." The next day there weren't 2 Nazis. There were 12. And now they weren't whispering. They pulled the Jews out of their homes and threw the able-bodied people on one truck and the old, the very young, and the infirm on another. And my father never saw his parents again. My father was taken to one work camp after another, and last to the Panari death camp, where he stayed alive only because his job, along with 37 other Jews, was to bury the Jews that the Nazis had shot in a pit. This was before the gas chambers were developed. The 37 were to sleep in the pit, but they took the spoons that they had eaten with and dug a tunnel under the barbed wire fence next to the pit. The Nazis shot most of them dead, but my father managed to race into the woods, where good Christians took care of him. At the end of the war, my father was dropped in the Bronx without a penny to his name, no English, no family, no education, only the scars of the Holocaust tortures. What did he do? He took the only job he could get, sewing shirts in a factory in Harlem. And at night, he went to Roosevelt High School's night school to learn English. And on the weekends, he went to the owner of the factory and asked, "Can I buy the shirts I sewed for you during the week and sell them from a cardboard box on the street?" We had been living in a tenement in a dangerous neighborhood in the Bronx and next to an elevated train that roared 24/7. We couldn't sleep. My dad wanted to get my mom, also a Holocaust survivor, and my sister and me to something better. So he used the money he got from selling the shirts to pay the rent on the only storefront he could afford, a tiny place, 105 Moore Street, in a dangerous neighborhood in Brooklyn. The store was so small that my dad had to display most of the merchandise on folding tables in front of the store. And on the weekends, when the kids were out of school, they'd come by, grab clothing from the table, and run away. So when I was old enough on Saturdays, my dad asked me to be the security guard. And don't try to stop him, just yell. And I remember standing in front of the store one day with my dad and asking him, "Daddy, how come you so rarely talk about the Holocaust?" And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Martin, the Nazis took 5 years from my life. I won't give them 1 minute more. Don't look back. Take the next step forward." And I've had the privilege of being a career and personal coach to some of our most successful people, as well as some real strugglers. And everyone had failures, but one of the differentiators is that the successful people have been far more likely to follow my father's advice. Stop looking back. Take the next step forward. And I can leave you with no better advice. In any case, that's a draft of the talk I'm planning to give. I'm calling this Career Advice for Postdocs. As usual, I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel, and certainly welcome you taking a look at any of my 28 books, including the just published A Dose of Reality. All of my books are available on Amazon. Just search in my name, Marty Nemko, Nemko, on Amazon, and you'll find it. In any event, thanks for watching. I'm Marty Nemko.